Words and pictures. Words and pictures.
Hello. Today's programme is all about inventors and their inventions. The wheel, scissors, the light bulb were all invented by people called inventors. The scissors, for instance. The first scissors were invented over 3,000 years ago. That's a long time. And the light bulb, well, that's quite a recent invention. I've got a real one here. If I switch on the electricity, the light bulb lights up. Now that is a brilliant invention. Inside. What else can you see that starts with the same sound?
Hi, my name's Emma. Sometimes I invent things. This is my invention. I call it an electronic elbow, but really it's a thermometer. Thermometers measure how hot or cold things are, like a room or the weather. But my thermometer measures the temperature of a baby's bath water. And baby Lucy's going to help me out here. How would you normally test the baby's bath water?
When I'm bathing Lucy, to test the temperature of the water, I would normally dip the tip of my elbow in, because, you know, it's quite sensitive, this part.
That's why my invention's called the electronic elbow.
Can you show me how it works?
Well, you stick it in the water and press the button. If the red light goes on here, it means the water's too cold. And if the red one goes on here, then it's too hot. But if the green one goes on, then the water's just right. And this water here's too hot. So I'll pour some cold water in to bring the temperature down. It's okay now. Do you want to put Lucy in? We use inventions every day, at school and at home. There are lots of inventions around here. Can you imagine what it would be like if there were no inventions? There'd be no computer games.
Where's my computer?
How about meeting tomorrow?
No telephones.
Well, you can't make...
Oh! Imagine no can openers. No toothbrushes. Imagine no electric light. No books to read. No scissors. And imagine no television.
This book is full of inventions. I've just been reading about candles. Candles were invented over 2,000 years ago, and they're made of wax. When they're lit, the flame gives off light. But it's also quite hot, so the wax melts. But when the candle is out, the wax cools, hardens, and sets again. There. There's an inventor who knew about this in today's story. His name was Daedalus, and he lived with his son Icarus on a Greek island. Daedalus made many clever and wonderful things. He and Icarus lived in a beautiful palace which belonged to a king called Minos. The king gave them beautiful rooms, fine clothes and wonderful food. But there was one thing he wouldn't give them: their freedom. You see, the king knew that Daedalus could invent amazing things, so he kept them both locked up in rooms at the top of a high tower, unable to escape. Daedalus was unhappy. He hated being a prisoner. He wanted more than anything else to be free. Every day he'd watch the birds from his high window. He watched them fly and swoop, free to go wherever they chose. He watched and he thought. He thought and he watched. Until one day he had an idea. He collected the feathers that fell from the birds. He sewed them together and made 2 pairs of beautiful wings. Then he said, "Icarus, these wings will help us to escape." "But how?" asked Icarus. "We'll fly away," Daedalus replied. Daedalus began to fix the wings to his son's shoulders. He used wax melted from a candle to fix the wings to his shoulders. As the wax cooled, it hardened and the wings became stuck. Then Daedalus attached his own wings and they went to the window. Icarus stood on the window ledge and looked down. He was very frightened. "Remember one thing," said Daedalus. "Don't fly too high. Don't fly too close to the sun or the wax will melt." Then they both jumped. At first, Icarus thought he would fall, but he opened his arms and flapped them like a bird and he was flying. "Look at me," he cried. "I can fly! I can fly like the birds!" Icarus swooped and darted, twirling and turning as he flew. "Look at me," he cried. "I can fly! I can fly!" Icarus climbed higher and higher. Below him, his father called out, "Icarus, don't fly too high. Remember what I said." But Icarus couldn't hear him. He was showing off. "I can fly," he cried, "higher than anything." Then he saw the sun above him. "I can fly higher than you," he said, and flew closer and closer to the sun's hot rays. Icarus flew so close to the sun that beads of sweat began to run down his forehead, and the wax on his shoulders began to melt. Icarus remembered his father's words, "Don't fly too high," but it was too late. The wings dropped from his shoulders, and Icarus began to fall down and down and down. His father watched, helpless, as Icarus disappeared beneath the waves. And all that was left were a few feathers floating on the sea. Here's a mobile of different creatures that can fly. There's a bird, a bee, a butterfly. Over there's even a bat. People have always wanted to fly, and they can go flying if they get into an aeroplane. But on their own, it's very dangerous and not something you should try. But watching other people try to fly can be very funny. In. In a tin. In a bin. The tin and the bin are making a din. In, tin, bin, din. Look at the letter in the middle. Now, watch how Magic Pencil writes it. Top to bottom and flick, then dot. 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 Daedalus was the inventor of a pair of beautiful wings. But I wonder who invented all these wonderful things. Who was it first made scissors or a bicycle with wheels? And who was the clever inventor made plates for your school meals? Aha! Who was it first made paper or pencils, pens and books? Inventing things takes time, you know, not as easy as it looks. Ha-ha! Inventors made computers and telephones and clocks and calculators, telescopes, keys to fit in locks. Ha! So think about inventions you use at work or play. Find out about inventors. You might be one day. There. A meal on wheels. See what you can invent. I'll see you next time. Bye.